Hello and welcome to the Colts Blue Zone podcast. Matt Adams with a game recap here as the Colts fall 20-16 to the Houston Texans at Lucas Oil Stadium in a key AFC South matchup. And this one stings. This one stings a lot. The Colts spent almost all of this season at the top of the AFC South. They were uncontested there. But Jacksonville has been hanging around. Actually, they've won several in a row now. And the Houston Texans have also won 7 in a row. So the Colts, who had started the season by winning 7 of their first 8 games, have now lost 3 out of 4, playing kind of their worst football at the worst possible time. Let's take a look real quick at those AFC South standings. See the Jaguars at 8-4, Colts at 8-4, Houston Texans right behind them at 7-5. The Titans, a non-factor, of course, they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention now at 1-11. So Indianapolis with just a really tough loss here, and not only does that hurt them in the overall there on the AFC South, Jacksonville has the tiebreaker by virtue of their divisional record. And then you look at the overall AFC standings right now, the Colts now out of a home game because they're out of the division lead. Jacksonville takes over that spot. Then you see Denver, New England, and Jacksonville there at the top 3. Baltimore into their division. Then that leaves the Chargers, the Colts, and the Bills as your wild card teams, with Houston and Pittsburgh and Kansas City all nipping at their heels. Now let's take a look at the rest of the Colts schedule here. They just played the Texans there, that November 30th game on Sunday. And then it's December 7th this week at Jacksonville, which is a game the Colts have not been successful in for many, many seasons now. Then they're at Seattle, finally home against the 49ers, home against Jacksonville again, and then on the road against Houston, the team that they just lost to on Sunday. So it has not been a very good stretch of football here for the Indianapolis Colts since that Pittsburgh game. They beat Atlanta. They had the bye. They lost a close one to Kansas City last week, and then this week lost another close one to the Texans. So, plenty to talk about here in this game, and you can. I will address the officiating in kind of the middle segment of the show, but I will say this: yes, the officials had an influence on this game. They didn't necessarily lose the game for the Colts because Indy had the chance at the end of the game to get a touchdown and go ahead. But some calls did go against the Colts here, and it heavily influenced how the rest of that ball game played out. Now, they still didn't execute well enough on offense. Now, I understand Houston has a tremendous defense. They really do. I mean, they've got some studs out there, and especially the first few drives, Colts just could not contend with that. And then also they had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. And then you also wonder, like on a 4th down play with Tyler Warren coming up for like a direct snap for what was, going to be kind of a tush-push type of play. If Daniel Jones's leg isn't hurt, he's probably taken that snap, and he's been very good in those short yardage situations. So just kind of some things working against the Colts. Sauce Gardner getting hurt, that upsets your entire defensive plan for the game as far as what you're able to do. And instead of having Sauce Gardner on some of the Texans' top targets, then you end up with, Mekhi Blackman out there playing a lot more snaps than you necessarily had expected in this game. So 20-16 is your final score. And just another tough game for the Indianapolis Colts. Defensively, Colts did just enough. Like, they did enough. Houston had some long drives, no doubt about that. Houston had some long drives in this game. But I think for the most part, the Colts played well enough on defense to win this game, and it kind of goes the same thing as last week. I think last week offense definitely shared a little bit more on things, but they were also not sharp on offense this week. On defense, you can make the argument that Houston had the ball for too long. They ran too many plays. Again, this week, Houston ran 71 total plays to Indianapolis' 51, and that both speaks to offensive inefficiency and, some defensive letdowns. 3rd downs, especially late in the game when the Colts needed a couple of stops, they just could not get the Texans off the field. Houston was 6 of 13 on 3rd downs in this game. Indianapolis 3 of 10. 24-17 on 1st downs for the Texans. So, the Colts defense made some plays. for sure. But they were, not tremendous in this game. They had some letdowns, but, they also forced a turnover, and that led directly to a score. So, it's kind of plus and minuses, some good and the bad on the defensive side of the ball for the Indianapolis Colts. But really where you feel like things didn't go well was on offense. And let's listen in now to Coach Shane Steichen.
Injuries, you guys saw Sauce. He has a calf. That's the injury from the game. Obviously very frustrating anytime you lose to a division opponent, especially at home. We got to get back on track this week against Jacksonville, get it cleaned up tomorrow, and take ownership and everything. Myself, everybody included. It's not about one person. We got to get it right. Obviously, that's the first time we've dropped 2 in a row this year. We got to get back on track this week.
What are your just general concerns about your offense, just from where you were, where you are?
Yeah, I think just staying on schedule. I think early on, we were 0 for 5 on third downs early on, so we got to be better there to maintain drives. Efficiency on first and second down. Don't put ourselves in, second and long situations. So we got to get back on track there for sure. Look at that from a schematic standpoint and where we're putting guys and how we're doing things to help our guys out. Yeah, I love Badge, but he knows he's got to make those kicks, So we have faith in whoever we put out there.
Shane, what was your perspective of the sequence of pass interference in the game, that kind of shifted this game?
Yeah, it was tough. Obviously, they made the call. That was the official's call. I'm not going to get into detail on it, but I think a lot of people, saw it.
What's the most frustrating part of a loss like this?
When you have opportunities to win it, you know what I mean? You lose these tight games. Sometimes you win the tight games, but when you lose tight games, it's frustrating because you're like, shoot, we could have had that, we could have this, could have that. You look back, it's 3 or 4 plays when you lose the tight ones. And so we got to find a way to get those 3 or 4 plays when it is a tight game like that. I don't have any details. All I just know is a calf right now.
Daniel, we know he's not 100%. Given what you're facing with that pass rush, how did that impact you today?
I thought he played pretty good. He threw 2 touchdowns. He had over 100 passer rating. Credit to Texans. It's top defense in the league. They had some tight window throws we had to make, some contested catches. But I thought he played overall. I thought he played pretty well.
On that last play there, 4th and 9, did that look like it was at all misthrown by Daniel? Was it a ball that you would expect Michael to typically catch there? How did you see that last play?
Yeah, it was a tight window throw right there. They were matching things up. It was a bang-bang play, Yeah, it was huge. He made some explosive plays down the field, and he got the 1 PI call on 3rd and forever where the guy tackled him, but the touchdown was huge. The deep crosser was huge. He showed up and made a ton of plays for us today.
I know there's always urgency, but what the standings are. Just what does that do in terms of changing?
Yeah, heck yeah, the urgency. I think every week the urgency, whatever your record is, but especially in division games, you got to have a ton of urgency in division games. And so now we're sitting at 2-1 in the division with another division opponent on the road. That we got to get ready for.
Do you see any constant, or any through lines with the 3 of those last 4 losses in these games?
I'll say just making those plays, starting with myself, just making those 3 or 4 plays, to finish games, at the end. I think that's what we got to do. We got to find a way to do that, put our guys in position, in practice, whatever it may be, to look at those things, to get those things cleaned up.
Josh Downs has a proven track record, but it has had some drops lately. What do you communicate to a guy like that? Do you see
Yeah, I think he just had the 1 drop right on the first 3rd down today. Was that it? Yeah, in the last drive. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that tight one. Yeah, I got you. He made some big plays too. I got a ton of faith in Josh Downs. He's a hell of a player for us. Guys never want to drop balls. Those happen in games, but you go back, you get them cleaned up, and catch them moving forward.
Do you know Sauce avoided an Achilles injury?
Like I said, I don't have any details. All I know is it's a calf right now.
Your offensive line, I think, first half of the season, spectacular. Do you have any concerns about what up and down play lately?
I don't. I'll go back. I thought, they did some good things today. Obviously, there's always stuff you can clean up moving forward. But we'll look at it, and we'll go from there.
That was Indianapolis Colts head coach Shane Steichen on the 20-16 loss for the Houston Texans. Tough loss, tough way to go down. You hate to lose a divisional game. You hate to lose a divisional game like that, especially Just some, a lot of things went wrong in this game for the Colts. Some of them were, the Texans playing well. We saw Will Anderson blow up Tanner Bortolini on a rush play that upset a pass. We saw another pass rusher get his hand on a tipped pass where Tyler Warren was kind of wide open there on the sidelines. You had a really great catch on the sidelines from Josh Downs, but that was negated by a holding penalty on Bernard Ryman. We had a couple of fumbled snaps in this game, one for Daniel Jones, and then one on a sneak play from Tyler Warren where they were trying to snap him the ball to kind of do a short run to pick up a first down on a fourth down play that they did not convert. And they could have taken points there easily, but then you don't know how the rest of the game plays out, right? Because on that ensuing drive from the Texans is when Stroud threw his interception, and that led to the Colts' first score. So, just a lot of different issues going on there. And then one thing that really bugs me is Michael Badgley missing another extra point. So that's 3 extra points he's missed on the season. And, those always come back to get you because you have to make up that point somehow, right? Whether that's through a 2-point conversion or whether it's at the end of the game, instead of needing a field goal to tie, you need a touchdown because you're down by 4 points. And that's what happened to the Colts in this game. That missed extra point by Badgley upsets the scoring. And since the Colts were not able to get into the end zone, or since they could not go for a field goal, they had to go for it on a 4th and 9, and they were not able to complete that, and that led to a turnover on downs. And then Houston was able to run out the clock. So, NFL kickers cannot miss extra points, and part of the thing with Badgley is Colts knew that, maybe 50 yards and beyond, he was limited. But he's supposed to be automatic inside 45 yards. Those extra points have got to be hit. Again, if the Colts score some more points, they get a touchdown, they convert some things, then it doesn't matter as much. But you've got to have those things. It's simple football stuff. Let's talk a little bit about that Colts offense. They were not great again this week. Shane Steichen's got a lot of confidence in this unit. I'm starting to think maybe it might be a little bit misplaced here and there because they are not playing at the high level that they were playing at earlier this season. And a lot of that has to do with, injuries and just teams getting more film on you and being able to counter some of the things that you're able to do out in the field. I do think that Jones has some mobility issues with that broken fibula. Or reported broken fibula. The team has not confirmed that. They just say he has a fibula injury. And I think it's taken out some of their RPOs. And I think, you've seen a few of sort of the bootlegs that have been very effective for the Colts, but it's not been as prevalent in the offense. In Indianapolis, just 281 yards total offense this game, 5.5 yards per play. Could not get Jonathan Taylor really going. They did stick with the running game better this week. 21 carries for 85 yards, for average on that, but no touchdowns, long of 12. But again, you kind of feel like if you keep pounding, eventually he's going to break one, and he was not able to do that this week. Alec Pierce, really good in this game, 4 catches for 78 yards. He had the great touchdown grab. Tyler Warren had a touchdown grab as well, and that was on kind of one of those bootleg action passes where he got wide open and, Jones was able to find him. Josh Downs had a couple of tremendous catches. He almost had a third phenomenal catch, but that was negated by a holding penalty as well. Michael Pittman, just 1 catch for 13 yards on 4 targets. Could not hook up in some crucial game situations, this offense. And it's kind of been the undoing of the team lately. The defense playing, I'm not saying they're playing stellar, but they've played well enough to win these games. I mean, if you're going to hold your opponent to 20 points, the way this offensive unit has been scoring this season before this little stretch they've hit, you've got to think that you're going to be able to beat a team, even a team that is as good as the Texans are at times. So let's listen in here on Daniel Jones and see what he has to say.
I'm not sure. I think just got to find a way to make it. It's not always going to happen exactly how you draw it up, and you got to be able to make plays and make it work. So, I think we gotta find a way to do that. It's critical in these games, and haven't been able to do it well enough.
How do you feel today? I mean, obviously we know you're dealing with something, but like, just how if at all did it affect you? How do you kind of overcome it?
Yeah, felt good today. Just I think it will continue to improve week to week, and it felt pretty good today.
Did it feel at all similar, different to last week's game against the Chiefs?
It felt better than last week.
Given the team is losing, lost 3 or 4, and things are slipping a little bit, how do you keep it from slipping forward and stop the bleeding?
Yeah, I think it just, you go back to work. I think, putting your head down and focusing on what we need to do to improve. I think everybody taking accountability and ownership of what we need to do, and certainly I play a big role in that. So for me, it's putting your head down and go back to work, and making sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to put the team in a position to win games.
What is it about this Texans defense that you think made it kind of, I guess, more difficult for you all season long points?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do a good job mixing up looks. I think the personnel's good. They rush the passer well. They got good guys in the secondary, and they got good schemes. So, hats off to them. They're a good group. But when you look at it, I think we know we've got to execute at a higher level.
On a late game drive like that, how does the urgency or just the dynamics change when you're needing a touchdown?
I think in that situation we had a lot of time and didn't feel pressed for time really. So it was about running our offense and executing, and just had a couple plays that we didn't execute and got backed up and didn't convert. So I think that situation, obviously, you need a touchdown, but with the time where it was and our timeouts, we didn't feel like we were pressed.
And we saw the report that you're playing for fracture fibula. Is that what you're playing through? And was there any decision to think not playing?
I'm not going to get into specifics on it. I think I feel good enough to play. Doctors cleared me to play, so that's what I'm going to do.
Alec Pierce had a positive impact on this game. How much do you trust him downfield to just throw it up like on that touchdown play?
Yeah, he played a really good game and had some big plays for us. And he's played well all season. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody who've watched us, and certainly not to us. So we'll continue to look for him to make those plays for us, and he stepped up, had a good game today.
From the outside looking in, the standings have changed, obviously, in the division. It looks like that's a very pressure situation from the outside looking in. What is sort of the tone, I guess, in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming in tomorrow, I definitely expect a high sense of urgency and guys being ready, eager to correct what we need to correct and improve. I don't think anyone is, no one's losing confidence, or certainly no one is, gonna get, too wound up about it. But we know what we have to do, and we know we have to improve and make progress. So, I expect guys to be ready to go, and we've got to have a good week. We got to make sure we clean some stuff up.
What happened on the fumble?
The exchange, you're talking about the exchange? Yeah, I just got to do a better job getting the ball.
That was Indianapolis Colts quarterback Daniel Jones discussing the team and their offensive struggles and the 20-16 loss to the Houston Texans. Again, a key AFC South game, kind of a must-have. I felt like this week a must-have game. I thought the Colts could pull this off, but here we are now, 8-4, and they've lost 3 out of 4 games so far. Now, I do want to mention a couple of things that went against the Colts late in this game. One, and 2 of them happened on the same play, and they both involved the officials. One, Houston should have gotten whistled for, or should have been flagged for delay of game on a 3rd and 15 play. That play never should have happened, should have been blown dead. That clock was at 0. It was at 0 for a long time, and I know that they said that they had kept their methods and how they look at those plays, and they did everything procedurally that they usually do. It was delay a game. Now, to compound that, on that same play, a 3rd and 15 play, they whistle and flag Kenny Moore for one of the most egregious pass pass interference penalties you're ever going to see. I don't think he ever touched the guy. Maybe he lightly touched the guy on the shoulder. He didn't trip him. The guy just lost his footing as he was making his cut, and Kenny Moore happened to be in the area. And that 3rd and 15 play now becomes a first down for the Texans, and they eventually get the go-ahead touchdown on that play. Now, to make matters even worse, in the span of these few plays that have happened, so you've got the 2 botched penalty calls, and I'm sorry, I don't think that was pass interference on that play. If it was, it just wasn't. I'm not even going to try to justify it. Kenny Moore's like, well, if the refs called it pass interference, then it must have been pass interference. That's just Kenny Moore being Kenny Moore. It wasn't. We're going to step up for you, Kenny. We're going to speak to that. It was not a penalty there, and that was a key. It didn't win the Texans the game, but it was a key. And then on the ensuing extra point, did that go in? Was that good? Did that go inside the uprights? I don't think it did. Neither did the commentators. Very hard to tell. And then when you have a play like this where the ball is extended up past the upright, then it's non-reviewable. So like the call's the call, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And that's important because, again, Michael Badgley missed the extra point. So if he had hit it, then you'd be looking at a 20-17 game, right? But if the Texans had missed that extra point, which kind of looked like they did miss that extra point, then you're looking at a 19-16 game at that point. And then that means the Colts need a field goal to tie things up near the end. Now, you might argue, and you probably would be right, is that even if the Colts had tied the game at the end, then Houston probably goes downfield, gets into field goal range, and kicks a game-winning field goal. But you don't know that that's going to happen, and there's always a chance that maybe the defense makes a play, there's a bad throw. You know, you go ahead and put that in the other team's hands, right? But when you're down 20-16, you have no other choice but to go for it on 4th and 9, and the Colts unable to convert there. There was a pass to Josh Downs on 3rd and 9. He was not able to corral that. It was almost a fumble. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. But then when they got a chance to do it again on 4th down, not able to convert. And that was your ball game right there, because once the Colts didn't convert, then Houston picked up a first down, which kind of pretty annoying. They should not have been able to do that against defense, but that is what happened there. And then they're able to get run out the clock the rest of the way, and then the Colts suffer. I feel like it was a crushing loss this week. Like losing to KC last week was rough. It was at Arrowhead. And some things went against the Colts in that game. They didn't play great. I get that. But this was not a head-to-head divisional game like this week's was. And, you look at those AFC South standings again, and, there's Houston. After that 0-3 start, they've won, I think, 6 in a row now. And they're right back into the thick of things. And then you've got Jacksonville also on a run of their own. And now the Colts face the very real prospect, because we have seen, unfortunately, and we'll talk about this in our game preview podcast, we have seen the terrible things that happen to the Indianapolis Colts when they have to go play Jacksonville at Jacksonville over the last decade plus. And, they did reverse their season opening streak this week. So maybe they can get back on track. But, boy, it feels really dubious right now. You've got Sauce Gardner being hurt. And, you don't expect him to play for a couple of weeks. Like Kenny Moore had an injury like that, like a calf strain, and they said later it was an Achilles, and he was out for a few weeks. So you would at least expect Sauce Gardner to be out for a few weeks. But we will find out more from the team as that develops. But for the Blue Zone podcast, for Dave Griffiths and Mike Chappell, I'm Matt Adams. We'll have a full preview of the game later this week. Thanks for listening to the Colts Blue Zone podcast and for watching, whether that's on Fox 59 Now or YouTube.